Right, so this is a story that is still evolving a little bit. There's been an almighty showdown at Labour's National Policy Forum. Now, this is an event where representatives of the Labour movement come together to hammer out actual policy commitments, and representatives of the movement from all across the way all come together to decide these. So this should be an exciting time. Starmer finally getting pinned down on some things he will actually do, should he reach power, by the movement itself, by the ordinary members, MPs, trade union representatives, the NEC, local councillors from all across the country. The great meeting of minds to get all of this decided, as it were. Even if you're a Labour member, though, you probably have no idea about this thing or that it was even happening, because they don't advertise it, nor do they live stream it as they do for a Labour conference, for example. And you'd think, when it is something as important as deciding the future policy of the party going into the next election, but that's the point. By keeping it obscure, by keeping it all behind closed doors, ordinary, not in attendance members having little idea of what is going on, policy may as well be decided and informed to the populace by white smoke being emitted from a chimney, papal conclave style, because that's the level of secrecy that goes on. Of course, a good reason for that is that it could be some real fallouts too. Some argue the likes of Tony Blair put on conference just for pomp and for show, and to give the thin veneer of policy being decided there, as it should be as Labour's sovereign body. Yet that this shadier event is where it really took place. And given how Starmer has treated the membership, treated conference as the supreme decision-making body, as a showpiece that only needs to be listened to when in session and can be ignored at any other time, abusing the rule book in doing so, a return to that kind of mentality, particularly when Blair and Mandelson are blatantly Starmer's mentors, seems obvious. So you might already be sniffing a Starmer-shaped rat now that I've said all of this, because for people who regularly follow my content and have the measure of Sir Kid Starmer, they'll also know that this is not a man who likes to take instruction from others. This is a man leading a party that has done nothing since he took over except hand down diktat to others, purge those that won't listen rather than listen to them, and lie about everything that they stand for. So others having a say on Labour policy and pinning Starmer to concrete policy commitments when all he does is bin off every promise he makes. Well, you can imagine this hasn't gone smoothly at all. But even I'm amazed at just how badly things have gone this time. The big bust-up has been over workers' rights. Literally, Labour Party reason for existence #1. Of Starmer's 10 long-ditch leadership pledges, #7 was on workers' rights, to strengthen workers' rights to trade unions, working shoulder to shoulder with trade unions to stand up for working people, tackle insecure work and low pay, repeal the Trade Union Act, oppose Tory attacks on the right to industrial action, and the weakening of workplace rights. That was his original pledge. Needless to say, he has no intention of doing any of that. To the point negotiations have become so hostile on the topic, the GMB and Unison trade unions, the second and third largest donors to the Labour Party, walked out. This is doubly dramatic given these two unions are considered to be amongst the more right-wing ones, and Starmer's supportive ones. They aren't right at this moment in time. Starmer's bunch literally went into this negotiation with the unions on workers' rights, taking a scorched earth approach, a take-it-or-leave-it stance, and saw fit to dictate that to general secretaries of trade unions. Unison, for example, wanted an amendment made to workers' rights policy calling for a £15 per hour minimum wage, something Starmer, prior to becoming leader, went on a picket line with McDonald's workers to demand, and this got shot down. The GMB tabled an amendment calling for equal pay for men and women and called it a red line for them, yet still Starmer's lot have shot it down. Comms apparently from Labour to the union leaders apparently descended into the rude and offensive, such as the Labour Party determination to put their funders in their place, like they've done with everyone else. These are the main two issues that news has come out about, but things do apparently go much deeper. The trouble is, like I said at the start, the whole event is so secretive, little news comes out that this is actually quite massive stuff. The GMB and Unison apparently even boycotted dinner, leaving the dining hall looking rather sparse with their combined non-attendance. Some photos of that would have been lovely, showing Starmer sitting somewhat alone, having hemorrhage support. What makes this look all the worse, though, is that just a week ago, as I also covered, Starmer was at the Unite Union policy conference, and he gave a speech there saying he would repeal the anti-trade union laws passed by successive governments to undermine the power of working people to take collective action. Unite's General Secretary Sharon Graham must have thought she was the cat that got the cream to hear Starmer announce this at her gig. Must have made her feel very justified in telling her own delegates to go away if they couldn't behave and to sit down and shut up if they did attend. But she's become too close to him of late, and his actions now at the National Policy Forum, which have also apparently binned off this promised repeal that he made just 1 week ago, we can assume as much since he's gone completely quiet on the subject, has made her look daft and a bit of a sucker for trusting him. What has she done while all this has been raging on? Although Unite apparently did walk out along with the GMB and Unison, they're still trying to negotiate apparently, and mixed reports are saying GMB is back in the room trying to get through to the leadership again as well, but so far still to no avail. If Labour aren't going to listen to you, stop giving them your members' money. It is very easy. The unions hold the power. That is what the Tories keep saying, isn't it? But so rarely do they ever need to flex it. Starmer is so supremely arrogant, he believes that because the unions want political representation, the reason the Labour Party even exists as it is, they'll do as they're told, just as everyone else has to do as he says. This isn't a party willing to work with anyone. It is completely drunk on power now it sees the levers of control back from the left and are burning their bridges even with their funders. The cries for disaffiliation will grow all the louder. The reminder that Unite voted to remain affiliated just last week, at Sharon Graham's urging, no less, leaves egg on her face all the more, as she gave Starmer the nod that Unite will keep funding him. She already looked ridiculous after saying nothing about Unite member Dawn McGuinness failing to be longlisted as a Labour MP in Bangor and Aberconwy as part of Starmer's diktat over who could become a Labour MP under him, because of previous support for Jeremy Corbyn in McGuinness's case, in line with comments from NEC lickspittle Luke Akers tweeting his own arrogance by publicly stating it isn't about experience anymore but loyalty to the new regime. Incidentally, on the Bangor shortlist now is a Croydon councillor who is also on at least 3 other shortlists, leading commentators to believe he's a placeholder on shortlists to block others from being allowed onto them. So the factional control over procedure is off the charts. The trade unions are finally getting a hard lesson in Starmerism, in that it's his way or the highway, and if people don't like it, there's the door. He's supposed to be representative of the Labour movement. Instead, he's dictating to it. Nobody should be supporting this man, and it's time the unions followed that sentiment up by shutting their wallets to him. Even if he rolls over himself in the near future, you cannot trust him not to flip-flop again on stuff. Cut off the cash until he's out. That would be my advice. Thanks for watching. I hope you found this video useful. Please do like, share and subscribe if you did. Content posted on a daily basis. Meanwhile, here's another vid you might like: the lengths Graham went to appease Starmer at Unite conference. She needs to do more than put him on notice. She needs to follow through now if she's to salvage any semblance of her own reputation these days. And I'll hopefully see you on the next vid. Cheers, folks.